Now, James Murdoch, the younger son of media mogul Rupert Murdoch, has resigned from the board of News Corporation. In a filing to US regulators, he blamed disagreements over both editorial content and strategic decisions.
We can speak now to Peter Ryan on this. He's the senior ABC business correspondent and long-time Murdoch watcher. Peter, thanks for getting out of bed nice and early for us today.
Morning, Catherine. Yep.
Just how significant is this resignation?
Well, it's very significant, and it's been a long time coming, really, because James Murdoch has been pretty much the outlier of the Murdoch family. He's pretty much fallen out with his father, Rupert Murdoch, the founder of News Corporation, and also his older brother, Lachlan. And earlier this year, during the bushfire crisis here in Australia, James Murdoch is known to have expressed his concerns about the way Rupert Murdoch's Australian newspapers had covered the fires in terms of being climate skeptics. So James pretty much is sending the message to the world and to anyone who wants to listen that he's no longer part of the family business. And it's significant, but it's not a surprise because James Murdoch has really paved the way for this decision for not just months but for years.
Peter, tensions have been simmering for some time, as you just alluded to. What sort of message does this tell us about the disagreement on the News Corp board?
It shows that the disagreements about the strategy and the editorial direction of News Corporation goes not just right to the top of the board, but it goes deep into the family. It's unknown whether or not he's representing other members of the Murdoch family or other, significant shareholders within News Corporation. But even without being on the Murdoch board, James Murdoch has made the move since exiting as chief executive of 21st Century Fox, which was the movies arm that was sold to Disney a couple of years ago, that he wants to be his own individual investor. He's been investing in sustainable projects, but perhaps more importantly, he's been pumping money, about $1 million into Joe Biden's campaign for the White House. And of course, as most observers know, that Rupert Murdoch, via his Fox News network, the very conservative Fox News network, has been a supporter of Donald Trump. And I think James Murdoch is really wanting to send the message that he wants to get out on his own and be his own man well ahead of Election Day in November.
Politics, family and business, it's an interesting mix, isn't it? Peter, I believe that Lachlan Murdoch, he still heads up Fox Corporation, but I believe he's also publicly criticised Fox News in the past. What sort of fallout can we expect from all of this?
Well, I think that it really, once again, underlines the power of the Murdoch family, how long Rupert Murdoch is going to be in control. He is 89, but he's holding on. He's behind every big decision, signing off on every big decision, including ones that take place here in Australia. But it also bolsters the case of very large institutional investors in News Corporation about whether or not the company is charting today's world, whether or not they're stuck with old world assets such as newspapers, very lucrative and prestigious newspapers such as the Wall Street Journal, the Times of London. But I think it does send a message, given that News Corporation does have a stable of newspapers in Australia under a lot of pressure in terms of having to restructure, recently shutting down the printing presses of community and suburban and regional newspapers. Just what's going to happen when Rupert Murdoch finally does die. It's going to happen when he goes to the big newsroom in the sky, and whether or not there is going to be strategic and editorial directional change at News Corporation. But it's clear that, at least for now, James Murdoch is not going to be part of that. And remember, it wasn't that long ago that James Murdoch was actually seen as being the heir apparent to Rupert Murdoch when Lachlan Murdoch had a falling out with Rupert Murdoch. But of course, a number of years ago, James Murdoch was forced to carry the can over the phone hacking scandal, particularly in Rupert Murdoch's UK newspapers. And that was very damaging. And I think that really created that schism between James Murdoch and Rupert Murdoch and brother Lachlan. So, but watch this space.
Peter Ryan, always great to chat to you. Thanks for your insight.
Thank you.